On Tuesday, after just 24 hours of deliberation, a jury found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty of all counts against him for the murder of George Floyd. Predictably, the right wing exploded with a white hot rage that somehow a white police officer could actually be held accountable for the death of a black man, despite, of course, the fact that they've been trying so hard and predicting, like, the defense destroyed the prosecution in the Chauvin case. He was on drugs. Officer was justified. Nope, didn't happen that way. Sorry. So now I have a collection of different right-wing figures that have responded to this in pretty predictable yet disgusting ways. We're going to start out with our favorite white nationalist, Tucker Carlson, with this white-hot nuclear take. Take a look.
Spend the rest of his life in prison. Is that a fair punishment? Is the officer guilty of the specific crimes for which he was just convicted? We can debate all that, and over this hour we will. But here's what we can't debate. No mob has the right to destroy our cities. Not under any circumstances, not for any reason. No politician or media figure has the right to intimidate a jury. And no political party has the right to impose a different standard of justice on its own supporters. Those things are unacceptable in America. All of them are happening now. If they continue to happen, decent, productive people will leave. The country as we knew it will be over. So we must stop this current insanity. It's an attack on civilization.
It's an attack on civilization. So this entire thing, again, you're hearing the narrative, and you've been hearing it for at least the last few days, leading up to this verdict, that it was the mob, Maxine Waters, and all that. So it's a theme that it actually wasn't, the fact that Derek Chauvin was guilty of murdering George Floyd. No. Instead, they're painting this as a noble sacrifice to prevent the mob from burning down cities. That's what this is. That somehow the jury knew this and made the decision to throw Derek Chauvin in prison to appease the mob, to protect, quote unquote, Western civilization, good old Anglo-Saxon political traditions. That is absolutely insane. It's a very clear deflection and a way to get them, of course, to away from talking about how the actions of Derek Chauvin were not justified when it came to George Floyd. It was clear police brutality. There was absolute evidence that it was not just Derek Chauvin. It was a training of police. Police trained Chauvin to do that, to react that way. The system is broken. This is what the system teaches you how to treat black men. And so that's, of course, why Derek Chauvin was like, oh, my God, I can't believe his face when he was read off the guilty verdict. It's like, what are you talking about? This is what you trained me to do. This is what you told me to do. And I absolutely did it without any problem. Why am I getting punished? Why am I getting put into jail? Yeah. So that's it. Now, again, there was clear video testimony. Video evidence, clear effective testimony that pretty much made this an open and shut case. I don't think the likes of Maxine Waters or anybody could have really swayed the jury more than that, the actual video evidence that was shown during this trial. Open and shut case. In the defense, you notice it was them trying to throw anything that they could at the wall to try to make it stick, and it did not. Again, the evidence was overwhelming. But Tucker Carlson doesn't want to talk about the evidence in the case. No. He wants to talk about the mob. He wants to talk about, witness tampering or how Chauvin is a persecuted hero who was only offered up as a service to the mob for appeasement, which is exactly, of course, what you would expect from someone like Tucker Carlson. But there's more. We've got more cope. We're not done.
We need to reach out to the community and say, can we stop resisting arrest? Can we stop disobeying the police? And these political pundits, these political talking heads, they want you to fight the police. They want you to be killed. So they can make all this money. They can promote it on the news. They can get a payout with the family, and you're going to be dead as a doornail. But unfortunately, money, it talks way too loud for people to listen to basic rhetoric.
Yeah, resisting arrest is, sadly, I think a lot of young people are taught today that if you encounter the police will shoot you. If you don't resist arrest, what are the chances of you getting killed by a police officer in the United States today, Brandon?
It's absolutely zero. I mean, just about zero. I don't think you have any negative interaction with police if you don't resist arrest.
Oh, okay. So that is Laura Ingraham, of course, with right-wing YouTuber Brandon Tatum. And so this is apparently some sort of conspiracy that somehow the left-wing pundits want this kind of stuff to happen. Well, speaking as a left-wing YouTube pundit, I would have to say that no, I would rather not live in a world where people like George Floyd are killed by cops. Regardless of what he did. That you're not the judge, jury, and executioner if you're a police officer. You're not supposed to hold your knee on the back of somebody's neck for almost 9 minutes when they are already restrained. That is excessive force. Ridiculous. Absolute ridiculousness. And look, again, there's a lot of it feels like there's some projection here from Fox News and another YouTube pundit, this time on the right, talking about how, it's just money. Seriously, how many views do right-wing rage videos against black people, how many views did they bring in? How much money? How many clicks? Absolute ridiculousness, projection. And really, it's really kind of hard to understand with all that police boot in his mouth. But again, that same guy said that there was absolutely no problems of police if you follow their orders, and made the case that you only get shot if you resist arrest. Total bootlicker mentality. Absolutely. In reality, here's the thing about resisting arrest. It's actually been abused a lot by police officers, disproportionately towards the black community. It gets used against the white community as well, but when it comes to black suspects, heavily used. New York Times article revealed that between 2009 and 2013, in North Carolina alone, police charged 836 black Americans, but only 209 white people, with resisting, delaying, or obstructing as their only charge. Only charge. So you don't even have to be doing anything wrong. If an officer comes up to you and it gets confrontational and they believe that you're doing something wrong, even when you're not, and a police officer decides they want to put their hands on you to search you or whatever, in the case of like stop and frisk, for example, well, you resist against that. Suddenly you're resisting arrest, and now you've been charged with a crime. That only crime is not following the exact, will of the police officer, whether he was in the right or wrong to stop you. So, I mean, you're a criminal for not complying with the officer. And that's pretty messed up because it does get used against African Americans. Now, Embassy 7 also found that over the last 7 years in California, in San Diego specifically, African Americans were 10 times more likely than white people to be arrested for resisting arrest. I know you could say, well, they're just being taught to resist more, which is Laura Ingraham's argument. And it's because they're inherently distrustful and combative of police, and we've been teaching them all this stuff. So that's, again, Laura Ingraham's argument. However, according to a study in Chicago based on a police officer's own description of more than 60,000 incidents, they revealed that officers use more force more often against black people, even though they actually resist less than white people. I mean, a good example is that shooter. I forget his name now, and I'm totally blanking out on his name. That was brought to Burger King after he committed a mass shooting. White guy. I'm sure, chat, you all know who I'm talking about, even though for some reason I'm blanking out on his name. Dylan Roof, thank you. Was Dylan Roof. Brought him to Burger King. Didn't shoot him, was able to, arrest him without a problem. Now, there's more, of course. We have even more right-wing pundits that have decided to chime in on this. And here's some of that.
I think at the end of the day, people say, you know what, if we acquit this guy, this city is going to burn to the ground. It is going to burn to the ground. So you had a jury that said, you know what, we're going to have to sacrifice this guy to the mob. And that's exactly what I think happened today. Again, you go through all this evidence. I just found more of it. Floyd's friends who...
Now,
well, let me ask you.
Now you got the outside. Now you got the outside influences, and there, I think we had a trial that was completely subverted by the media, by Maxine Waters, by numerous other public officials. There's no way the jury wasn't hearing that and paying attention to it. Biggest fiction in the world is that a jury doesn't read the newspapers.
So again, here we go. First one was Newsmax host Rob Schmidt, and of course, Rudy Giuliani. Going with it wasn't based on the facts or anything like that. No, it was the mob. The mob tainted. Okay, here's the thing. The jury isn't made up of idiots. They're not made up of 5-year-olds who will be instantly swayed by if they decide to read something in the newspaper of somebody else's opinion. No, they're supposed to go in. They're supposed to look at the facts. They're supposed to look at what's going on in the case and then make the decision based on those facts. That's the whole point. That's what they're supposed to do. We shouldn't be treating jury members as if they're children. Now, we're not done. we got more. Let's go to Twitter. Some great examples here. To our favorite, Tommy Lauren. Yes, Tammy Tomato. She asks, is the Foot Locker safe tonight? Should be right. Justice right. No need to steal in the name of George Floyd anymore. Right? Now, this was in response to Don Lemon. But here's the thing. It's not actually justice. It's just accountability. It's accountability for Derek Chauvin, what he did to George Floyd. That didn't need to happen. What a sick tweet by Tommy Lauren, but I'm not surprised. Another response to Don Lemon's tweet, here comes Ben Shapiro saying, we all know he never would have said this had the reverse verdict have been reached. Well, that's because in that case it wouldn't be justice. Doesn't make any sense. Tim Pool, who's been wrong just about on everything related to this case. Again, this guy thought that the defense made a slam dunk. Terrible commentary. He said this: cops need to resign en masse right now. And the thinking goes, of course, that, well, okay, lefties, which is ironic because he calls himself a disaffected liberal. All right, lefties, let's get rid of cops and then see what happens. Again, super petulant answer, but I'm not at all surprised. Mike Cernovich also said, police will stop doing their jobs, get out of the cities, live in a deep red area where you're allowed to have lawful concealed carry. It's the era of self-reliance. Are you advocating for all conservatives to live in a safe space, Mike Cernovich? I thought that you weren't in favor of such things. I thought you didn't like safe spaces. Weird. And then we have big ideas. Dave Rubin saying, trying to organize my calendar. Are we doing unity and healing now? We're rioting and looting. High-level ideas. High-level ideas, Dave. How much should he get paid to say that? Probably quite a bit. God. Now, you know what? Turns out my brain needs to go into recovery mode after reading those high-level ideas. And I'm finding, here's the most cope tweet of all. This comes from Liberty Hangout. Saying, justice is dead. And so is this country. An innocent man was just convicted of murder for a crime he never committed. This country sucks. Wow. Delusional. Justice is innocent. Holy, was she watching a completely different trial? Is that what? Delusional. Then, of course, you had Groyper Nick Fuentes tweeting this: rigged system. And then you have Gateway pundit blogger Cassandra Fairbanks. Now, Cassandra Fairbanks is an interesting character. She cosplayed as a Bernie Sanders supporter back in 2016, where she's certainly not, at least not anymore. Here's what she wrote. Poor Chauvin. This is awful. He is a political prisoner. Nobody can change my mind on this. And then she deleted the tweet. Probably after getting loads of pushback on that. Maybe, I wonder if she changed her mind. I'm just assuming that Cassandra Fairbanks is just getting paid. And that was a little too much heat for her. She wasn't getting paid enough for that one. Wow. Again, it really shouldn't surprise you in this day and age that getting some measure of police accountability, since they've been unaccountable for doing what they've been doing for a very, very long time, for unjust state violence. This is state-sponsored violence, by the way, against an American citizen without their due process would somehow enrage freedom-loving conservatives. I thought you were all about due process. I thought that's what you cared about. Instead, you're in favor of unlawful search and seizure for laws like, stop and frisk, or basically having a police officer being able to, be basically an executioner and defending police officers that kill black men because they might have a little bit of drugs in their system. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And look, even the part of George Floyd, he was so-called resisting arrest by trying to position himself to the point of where he could breathe. Whew. It really does show that their entire worldview, it for them is a joke. It's a sham. Okay, these people are they don't have an ideology. They are reactionaries. That especially in the case of Dave Rubin, who gets paid lots and lots of money because that's why he left DYT. He left it because they couldn't pay him a 6-figure salary. That's why. And that's why he teamed up with PragerU. Why I left the left? Why? It's because there's no money on the left. I'm going to go where the money is. It's all been about the money with a lot of these people, with a lot of these grifters. Again, Tim Pool's got a gigantic mansion with a skate park. That's what you get from being the right wing. And by the way, I've also been offered, apparently, as an influencer, to be a conservative influencer, lots and lots of money. That's where all the money is. That's why people do this. That's who these people are. To own the libs, basically. Because there are some very deep-pocketed billionaires that pay people like this to say these kinds of abhorrent things. Even if it means going against the rights of another person to have their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, doesn't matter, because those grifter bucks, they're delicious. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.